Hello and welcome. Welcome to the FortiGate Initial Configuration Series. Today we're going to start with a completely factory reset default FortiGate Firewall. Start clean and go from there. So as you can see on my screen, I do have a freshly factory reset firewall here. There's two ways you can log into this. I do have a laptop connected, consoled in. So you could be consoled in, or you can connect with the default IP over its management port, the 192.168.1.1. So as you can see here, we could just do admin, because it's admin, no password. So refresh, there we go. Admin, and we're going to do no password. Okay. Now we will, old password will be empty. New password, that's great. All right. So now we'll sign back in. All lowercase admin. Great. All right, so here's the screen you'll get on a completely factory reset firewall. So we'll hit next. We're not migrating over any configs from a older hardware model, so we're just not gonna, we'll skip that. Automatic patch upgrades. We definitely want to control our patching. Acknowledge. All right, optimal is fine for our dashboard. Okay, we do not need to see this again. Okay, great. All right, so now we have logged into our freshly reset FortiGate firewall. Let's go over some reset options. How would we factory reset this? There's a couple of ways. One way is if you have console access, you could log in. Great. Or if you have access via the web or SSH, you could just open a command line here and just do an execute factory reset. Right. Hit enter, you'll hit yes, and then it will completely wipe the config back to default. That is the main primary way you're going to factory reset. If for some reason you didn't know the password, there is a hardware reset button on most models. There's a little pinhole button that you will reboot. Hit that pinhole button and it'll factory reset. That is not the preferred way. Preferred way is the command line, the execute factory reset. When you do the reset, you'll notice that there is a way to interrupt the boot, and there is ways that you could recover, but those are not factory reset, and we'll cover recovery workflows in later videos. So after our reset, we'll just make sure that we have no IP addressing in here. Everything is basically default, which it is. Our management here is default. That's the default IP. Our WAN 1, we are getting DHCP, so that is great. We'll verify. Actually, let's look at our current firmware. And we can see here we are up to date. Something really good to know here and go over here is firmware versions. So if we look at all these firmware versions here, you'll see feature. You do not want to go into production with a feature version. You want to be on a mature version. Feature versions are not stable. Mature versions are obviously stable. Something to, if you're working in a lab environment, you want to test out a feature or test something out. Feature's fine, but in production, you definitely want to go with running the mature code. Also, once you have your baseline image, you'll want to do a backup. So you go here, admin, configuration, backup, and you'll back it up to your local disk here. Now, a great way to recover, we'll go over more recovery methods in later videos, but if we go here into System and Settings, you will see that there is this option here, USB auto install. This is great for recovery or for deployments. You'll basically take a USB drive, format it to FAT32. You'll take a clean config, good baseline config, rename it to this. You'll take the matching firmware. Now the firmware has to match the config. And you'll rename the firmware this image.out. Also, obviously this config has to match the hardware. So if you're running a 101F, this has to be a 101F configuration. You can't just put it on any hardware model. The interfaces have to match. Once you have that on both on the USB, if you just plug that USB into the USB slot on your FortiGate firewall, reboot, your FortiGate will take that config and that image. At this point, we have a verified trusted starting point, exactly where we want to be to begin. Pause here, confirm your FortiGate matches this baseline config before moving forward. But thank you for watching, and follow and subscribe to get notified on our latest content. Thank you.